This is Season 2, Episode 14 of the TO Sports Talk podcast. I'm your co-host, Evan Brown, like always. That's your host, James Price of TO Sports Talk. And winner, chicken dinner. Before we start off with playoff Toronto sports, because there's a lot of teams in the playoffs right now, thank you all for coming out to fantasy, participating. And I knew when I drafted my team it was going to happen. Evan Brown, champion of fantasy.
Now, usually I wouldn't say this, but I'm going to do so, sir. Congratulations on winning.
And a handshake.
Yes, of course, and on winning the championship. Well deserved. You got a great team. Connor McDavid, of course, and Leon Draisaitl leading the way.
Drafted him 50th overall, Draisaitl, so
good pick.
Conn Smythe winner. Anyways, enough of that because we had a lot to talk about. So
we're obviously going to start with the Leafs.
Obviously.
No question.
So it's been a while since we since we continued with our last podcast. Leafs played Game 1 in Boston. Probably one of the best games of the season.
Oh, no doubt about it. The Leafs go out there, and not only do they play a good game offensively and score 4 goals, 3 goals with the empty netter, they defend the puck immensely well.
Yeah. So, me and you were talking about this on the phone, and everybody played well. I can't even nitpick on a player that didn't play well. Austin Matthews, scoreless, pointless, but he looked great out there.
He looked great. He ring off a post as well.
Listen, okay, I'm going to say 5 stars of the game.
You had 3, but I mentioned 2 names, and you
then I'm
added to that.
Mitch Marner, number 1, 100%.
No, yeah.
Kid. No, well, I think Jake DeBrusk ran into him or something like that when he was on a breakaway shorthanded. Was it shorthanded?
I think he kind of got his stick, Jake DeBrusk's stick, and he kind of hit the back of Marner's leg.
That was a dangerous play.
It is a very dangerous play. And look, Jake DeBrusk didn't skate the next day because he ran into the boards hard.
I thought Marner was going to take out Rask, both of them could have been injured. All 3 of them could have been injured.
It could have been really, really bad.
And let me tell you, Tuukka Rask, I salute to you because you had no chance on that penalty shot.
Just on his jock straps hanging up in the back there. That was quite rough.
I don't blame a goalie for letting that happen because, listen, it's Mitch Marner. You know he's going to do some fancy dangles, and he did. Forehand, backhand, and then backhand again?
Something like that.
Boom.
It was he ended up on the forehand, but it was just such a good move.
He was my first star. Second star, obviously Freddie Anderson.
Yes,
how could you
no
not?
Question.
37 saves. He looked great out there, obviously. He was the Freddie from
start of the season, really.
And in the middle of the season, not really at the end of the season. So Freddie Anderson, my second star. Third star.
Because he was incredible. You know, we talked about, obviously, the struggles down the stretch for Frederik Andersen, and will this carry into the playoffs? Yeah. And we have continuously said over and over and over that the playoffs are a different beast.
Exactly.
It's a fresh start. Everyone sees it that way. And Freddie Anderson is one of those people.
Correct. So Freddie Anderson was my second star, and probably yours too. Third star.
Big time.
Connor Brown played an amazing game. That hit on Marcus Johansson.
In the first period, it kind of set the tone of the game.
Exactly. Because, of course, if any Bruins player hits a Leaf player, no matter how big the hit, no matter how small the hit, they're going to just cheer. They're going to cheer. And,
of course it is.
And rightly so. And when Connor Brown hit Marcus Johansson, everyone was like, whoa.
And the thing was, this was not just a one-time thing during the game. The Leafs were throwing the body around. You saw Nazem Kadri throw a couple big hits. You saw Trevor flipping Moore, 5'10", 187-pound Trevor Moore, demolish 6'9", 250-pound Zdeno Chara.
And thank you for bringing his name up. He was my 4th star of the game. Just so speedy. I was a little hesitant about sending him over Ennis.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done that, to be honest with you. But listen, he's proving his worth. The 4th line looked great. The speed is great. Even Gauthier in the middle was great. Final 5th star of the team. Multiple defensemen impressed me.
Before you get to him, I know you're going to talk. I know who you're going to say, and we've already talked about this. But you have harped on this guy being terrible all year long, as most people have.
Exactly.
Right.
Nikita Zaitsev, there was one play where he saved the goal. Jake Muzzin got caught or something. I think, who was it? A forward poked the puck behind Jake Muzzin when Jake Muzzin was holding the line. It was on a 2-on-1, and Zaitsev just hustled back and dove for the puck and made a great defensive play with his stick. He was that had to be his best game as a Leaf, not even this season as a Leaf. He played awesome that game.
He looked solid, and like you said not too long ago, but the whole D-Corps played a really solid game. I know you talked about Jake Muzzin, but I didn't think he played a bad game. I thought Jake Gardner had a pretty damn good game. And Riley looked good. They all looked really solid.
And listen, Jake Gardner only played 16 minutes with Dermott playing 11. They're on the third pairing right now. And that Muzzin, Zaitsev pairing, pretty good. Riley Hainsey, I'm not a fan of, obviously.
We've never been a fan of that.
No, but the Muzzin-Zaitsev pairing, pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Considering the circumstances with Zaitsev and with Muzzin still getting used to his new team, and he is used to this team, right?
No, for sure. By now, yeah.
That definitely sets the tone for an amazing series. Now, going into Game 2 tonight, because you already did your video, or do you want to
talk about Game 1? Because we didn't really do a playoff preview for the series. I did on the channel, but I think we can both agree. You find a way to contain. You're not going to be able to shut down, but contain Bergeron, Marchand, and Pastrnak. You are going to win almost every single game. And what happened in the last game? Yes, you give up the power play goal, but that's fine. 5-on-5, they were nowhere to be found.
Listen, out of those three players you just mentioned, Marchand was all over the ice. I noticed him. Bergeron was all over the ice. Did you even see Pastrnak at all?
No, I didn't either. And you know who I gotta give kudos to? John Tavares. Yes, he only got an empty netter. And yes, that. But you held Patrice Bergeron to only 50%.
He was great on the faceoffs.
They were almost 50-50. And if you can hold a guy like Patrice Bergeron to that, you're going to win a lot of games. You contain that line, you're beating the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
And the thing I love what the Leafs did, and I don't know if you felt the same way, but this is the way I saw it. They were showing the physical presence early. They weren't afraid either to take a hit or to throw a hit early in the game. And from my perspective, the Bruins thought, oh, we can just run through them. We'll be fine. We'll be able to scare them a little bit and then be just fine. And with the Leafs, they went out there and they played physical with the Boston Bruins. And I think that forced the Bruins to try and play the Leafs game, which it didn't work.
Well, it's funny because even before Game 1 started, Bruce Cassidy said, we're not dressing David Backes. We're throwing in this youngster who only played a couple regular season games.
Coolin?
Something like that. More speedy than Backes, but got rid of the toughness with David Backes, which was a bit weird because when you think of Boston, you don't think of speed.
No.
You think of grittiness, you think of toughness, and you think of David Backes. Now, it's not confirmed at all if he will start, if he will be inserted into the lineup. I think Boston should insert him.
I think so, too.
If I'm the Boston Bruins, you can't match speed for speed with the Toronto Maple Leafs. You're going to lose 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you're going to lose speed-wise. So put in David Backes, and he can produce you some energy. Listen,
I didn't realize, David Backes only had 20 points in 70 games.
That's what I was just going to mention.
He didn't have a great season.
David Backes isn't the player like he was on St. Louis or even living up to his contract at all, but he can produce something.
Yeah.
More than the rookie they threw in.
Right.
Which, he wasn't bad. I don't know. He was okay. I don't even know his name.
I want to say like Coolin or let's see if I can.
He was a defenseman, wasn't he?
Carson Coolin. There you go.
Thank you, Ethan. And by the way, Ethan is in with us. Second podcast since New Year's.
Yeah.
So good to have him on. The insider, smart insider man, Ethan Coles. Anyways, going into Game 2, I don't know if we've woken up the beast from the Boston Bruins, but I don't like the people that are saying that, oh, Boston's this unbeatable team. Boston's this, Boston's that.
Clearly, if the Leafs play the way they did on, what was that?
Wednesday. Or Thursday.
Thursday night, then, I mean, you're going to win a lot of games that way. You outskate the Bruins. You even play remotely physical with them. And that just changes their whole mindset.
Exactly.
Because coming into the series, they're expecting, oh, we're just going to crush them, scare them, and then put the puck in the net. And clearly, that didn't happen in Game 1. And Brad Marchand, you heard his comments the next day, saying how, well, maybe we underestimated them. Maybe we thought it was going to be a little bit easier than we thought. That's a team coming into a series expecting to win the series easily.
What? I'm surprised about even the Bruins would think that. I wouldn't have thought that, especially Marchand. I wouldn't have thought that they would expect or they would say, listen, you're basically getting rid of Thomas Plekanec and throwing in John Tavares, swapping them out. Are you kidding me? And you think it's going to be easier?
And Dominic Moore for Kadri for 3 games because of the suspension.
There you go.
So,
right? So I mean, like you said, going into Game 2, it's going to be, this is the test. This is the real test because Boston is going to play their hearts out. They took it easy last game, obviously. They thought that they're going to win, which was surprising to me.
To take it easy or not, I mean, I don't know. But you look at this game, I wouldn't say it's not a must-win game. No. But what I'm going to say, it's definitely a series decide. Like, it flips the series, right? You go back to Toronto 1-1. You still took away their home ice, and you're still feeling good about yourself. You won a game in Boston in the first 2 games. That's great. But if you go home up 2-0, like the Columbus Blue Jackets are doing right now, and going back to Toronto up 2-0, I mean, that's big.
I wouldn't say this is a really deciding factor in the series.
No, but
this
it's important.
Right, but this is going to be a test.
Yeah.
This is going to be a test because the Leafs have shown that last game they outplayed the Bruins. They absolutely did. We all know that. But this is going to be a test of the Bruins playing the Bruins way.
Yeah.
The Bruins have saw that the Leafs are outchancing them, outspeeding them at all in every which way.
Yeah.
So right now the Bruins are going to be like, okay, this team is not to be a team to be messed with anymore. So,
I mean, you look at the way the Boston Bruins are and the way that team is constructed. Look, their offense runs through that one line. You all know that. And seeing John Tavares, Mitch Marner, and Zach Hyman score 3 of the 4 goals against that line, I mean, not only did you contain them by only giving up a power play goal against them, you scored 3 against them.
And, yeah, exactly. Now, I have a question for you, and I hope Mike Babcock does this. I want him to run 3 lines and maybe even 7 defensemen. You have an elite center core. So why not play Tavares 25, Matthews 25, and Kadri 20, and then the 4th line can play, 5 minutes if they need to? You have these 3 superstar centers. Okay, well, you have 2 superstar centers, and you have 1 pretty good center, right? I think that you have these players... What team in the NHL can contain Matthews, Tavares, and Kadri if they just keep setting them out?
You really
No, you can't. But Mike Babcock always goes back to matchups. And if Boston throws out a certain line, then Babcock says, okay, Matthews, get off. We have to throw out the 4th line out there. We have to.
Now, the reason I'm not going to chirp him a little bit is because we did win 4-1 in the last game. But,
no, but
I understand. I know what you're getting at. I mean, with the 4th line, though, the energy of Trevor Moore, I mean, look, he was fantastic.
Would you rather have Trevor Moore out there an extra couple shifts or Matthews? Matthews,
well,
100%.
of course, but you don't. I mean, Matthews might get tired.
No.
Like 25 minutes a night is a lengthy amount of time.
Right,
Trevor Moore's got speed though.
As
but
does
if
the
you're,
entire Leafs team.
But listen, if you're a superstar caliber player, you are bound to play 25 minutes. No superstar is gonna get tired after 25 minutes.
No, I know, I get that.
There's no way.
But you don't. I don't know. Mm-mm. Your 4th line isn't bad.
It's not bad. But when you have these 2 superstar generational talents, you throw them out there. I don't care how good the 4th line is doing. I want to see Matthews and Tavares out there more, and even Kadri out there more. I
think with that though, you may run into an issue, right? If you're trying, let's say you're trying to match Tavares with their 4th line, right? And then Boston counteracts by throwing out the Bergeron line next, and then Tavares' line's already out there, and then you've lost your matchup. You lost Tavares against Bergeron.
And then you throw out the Matthews line.
Yeah, but that line, I mean, look at last year. They tried to put Matthews on Bergeron last year, and he got torn apart left and right. You put Tavares on Bergeron, made them stick like glue, and it worked. That's why I'm saying I understand what you're getting at, but then you'll run into issues of Kadri will end up being against the Bergeron line. And look at face-off thought, Bergeron and Kadri, and there's a big difference there. Yeah. You run into that issue.
Personally,
you want Tavares glued to Patrice Bergeron. You want Hyman glued to Pasternak. You want Marner to be all up in Brad Marchand. You want that.
All I'm saying is that I just want Mike Babcock to use these players that are generational talents more, and I think you can agree with me on that.
Now, the thing I do agree with you, let's say, for example, you have their 4th line in their own zone. Let's say they ice the puck in their 4th line.
I
still
put
out
our
there.
4th line out there.
Exactly. Well, I don't think they will, but I'm just saying. I mean, when you get an icing and you get an offensive opportunity with a tired 4th line, for the most part, you'll see the one of the top 2 lines come out there. But I mean, look, I like what Babcock did in the first game, clearly, because it worked. And I'm really happy that
he threw out the matchups too, but like he said, it worked. And I think this is one of the best games the Leafs have played this season. I don't think it's the best, but it's definitely one of the best. So again, obviously Game 2 tonight in TD Garden at 8 o'clock.
We're gonna be down at the Square. If you guys are going down, fire us up. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
For sure. I don't even know how many people are going to be meeting us there, but it's always nice to meet some fans, obviously.
Absolutely.
A fan meetup. I don't know how many people are going to be down there. You obviously got a lot of DMs, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to say hi, we're going to be actually in the square, so that's going to be a little bit of, because it's kind of hard to explain where you are, but we're going to be in the square where they patch it down with the bags and all that. We're going to be in the actual
We're hoping
square.
we can be there for the Raptors one too, if we can get on time. I assume so. With being there almost an hour and a half before the game, I can't see why we wouldn't be able to get in there.
Right.
But you never really know. You want to get around to the other playoff
Let's
series?
get around the league,
boy,
yeah.
oh boy, there's some doozies. We're gonna start at the meat one, the one that everyone's talking about. The Columbus Blue Jackets have a 2-0 series lead, going back to Columbus over the Tampa Bay Lightning.
So Tampa was up 3-1 in game 1.
3-0.
Sorry, yeah, 3-0. How did they end up, especially at home? Sergei Bobrovsky looked shaky in the first period. Those goals, one was shorthanded by Killorn, the other one was a terrible rebound by Cicerelli. But I mean, really, it's quite fascinating that every single year these President's Trophy winning teams. I mean, I wasn't expecting Tampa. I was expecting them to win against Columbus and maybe get upset in the second or third round, not the first. I mean, it's not over. It's not over. You're going back to Columbus for game 3, but it's not looking good. And even John Cooper said that this is a 5-alarm fire, and I completely agree with him.
I don't blame. Now, the reason why I'm not kind of like, I guess, 5-alarm fire nervous, the only reason that I'm not in this way is because last year, this time, the Columbus Blue Jackets were in the exact same situation against the Washington Capitals. They won both games in Washington. And everyone's like, wow, are the Capitals going to be upset by Columbus? Now, ideally, it was a different situation. I think it was like 2-3. No, maybe it was...
It was 2-0 going back to Washington.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was...
Washington had home ice, so it was going back to Columbus.
Right.
It's the exact same situation as right now, and Washington ended up coming back and winning the 4 straight, and the series was done. Now, I'm not saying that this series is going to go the exact same way, because it's the way these games have gone that have been that bad for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And they could not even have Nikita Kucherov for a game or 2.
He's actually out for 1 game.
It was
suspended for 1 game. You talked about it. We both thought he should have got 1 game.
Yeah.
Surprised if he didn't. He did get 1 game. So that's another obstacle. But listen, Tampa Bay hasn't seen any adversity at all this season. They breezed through the regular season.
I think that was a problem. I think they've had the Eastern Conference and the President's Trophy locked up for the last 10-15 games of the season, right? But you look at the way these first two playoff games have gone. You blow a 3-0 lead and you lose 4-3 in regulation. Yeah. And then in the next game, you expect some sort of bounce back. You get crushed 5-1.
But we've seen, like, and
Kucherov gets suspended. Right. I mean, it's everything.
Yeah, it's everything. But maybe this is what the Tampa Bay Lightning needs. Without Kucherov, they have a bunch of players that can step up. They have Braden Point. They have Steven Stamkos, Yanni Gourde. Like I said, Cicerelli on the third line. Tyler Johnson.
Victor Hedman.
Joseph. Right.
Yeah, Matthew Joseph, yeah.
But Victor Hedman has not been himself at all.
No, he really hasn't. I mean, he was coming back from the injury, right? Obviously, later in the season, he could still be a nagging injury. But you know what? And the Tampa Bay Lightning, they still did tie the NHL record for most wins in a season with 62 wins.
That was the Montreal Canadiens record, too.
I think it was, yeah. It was a long time ago. But, I mean, that's why this series is so far from over. I mean, but with the Tampa Bay Lightning losing Nikita Kucherov in a must win in Columbus.
But I said before, we've seen star players get injured, and then the team without that star player goes on a run and wins a couple games, right? And both goalies in the series can steal series. Yeah. Sergei Bobrovsky can steal a couple games. Andrei Vasilevsky can steal a couple games. That's why I'm saying it's not out of the realm that Tampa Bay will come back. But listen, you're 0-2 and you're going back and you're going to Columbus. I mean, it's not looking too pretty.
You want to move on to the next one?
Well, before we do that, I had Tampa Bay in 5.
I mean, I would have suggested that as well. Because
it's kind of sucks because we didn't do our playoff predictions before it started, but whatever. So, 0-2. I still think Tampa's going to come back. I'm going to say Tampa's going to win. Well, they have to win.
If you win in 6, you're going to get 4 straight.
You know what? I think they can do it. I don't think Columbus. I think I think Tampa Bay can still pull it off.
They'll do the Washington Capitals of last year?
Tampa in 7.
The reason why, and I go back to the Washington series last year, they started those first 2 games with Drew Bauer. And then they went back with Holtby. So with Tampa, though, you got Vasilevsky in. You ain't going to Louis Domingue in a playoff game.
No, there's no way.
I understand he had a great year, but it's playoff time.
So I'm going to say Tampa in 7. How about you? I'm still not done with Tampa.
I'm going to say Columbus in 6.
Really?
I truly believe that the Tampa Bay Lightning, having, like I said, locked up the Eastern Conference in the NHL, the President's Trophy for so long, have got way too relaxed. And Columbus, who clinched a playoff spot in their final, game or 2, have been fighting for their lives forever. And they have all the energy. They have all the momentum right now. And no Nikita Kucherov for 1 game.
Yeah, okay. So last thing on this series, I was shocked about how Columbus manhandled Tampa in the second game. Listen, in the first game, okay, Tampa Bay lost. I would have thought that loss would have woken up the beast in the Tampa Bay Lightning. It didn't. They were at home. They got torched by everyone in Columbus, right? So,
and they're not the same team they were in the regular season. The reason I'm saying that, I'm trying to find which goal it was. I remember who scored it. I think it was the you know what? I don't really remember which goal it was, but it was a cross-seam pass, and the guy who received the cross-seam pass was wide open, and there's 3 Tampa defensemen afterwards going after him, and I'm like, that's not Tampa Bay Lightning.
No, it's not.
I don't know what's going on with them, but they look lost. And for your coach to come out here and say it's a 5-alarm fire after just 2 games, there's something up.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Exactly.
All right, so we've already talked about the Leafs and Bruins series. The Washington Capitals, they play Game 2 against the Carolina Hurricanes tonight. In Washington, the Capitals barely hung on to that victory there in Game 1.
They almost pulled the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
Right?
They were up 3-0.
And then Svechnikov scored 2 goals. Great one-timer for the second goal. And then Lars Eller put it away with an empty net. Washington in 5. I
say 6, because Carolina, they had a great year and they had a great end of the season. I still think they can pull out a game or 2, especially when they go back to Raleigh. I think they might get a game or 2. But I think
their goaltending is a issue. Like you said, Peter Mrazek is not an NHL caliber goal. Okay, a starting one. I don't know why they wouldn't put in McElhinney. I would put in McElhinney over Mrazek, but that's just me.
Both goalies have had really good seasons. So, I mean, it's kind of like a coin flip. And you watch Mrazek not have a great first game against the Capitals, so you might see McElhinney tonight. I don't know what's going to happen there, but I'd say about Washington, I say Washington in 6.
I think that's Washington in 5.
Okay. Next up, we have the New York Islanders against the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Game 3, I don't know when Game 3 is. It's on the 14th, which is tomorrow on Sunday.
Because they played yesterday.
Yeah, and the Islanders have won both games.
I think
4-3 in overtime, and then 3-1 both times in New York. So they've got their home ice cooking right now.
Just seeing what that building is like in a playoff game, I want a Leafs-Islanders series. That building is electric. I don't know if it's because it's smaller and the noise...
it doesn't travel as far.
Exactly.
It's very contained.
But still, great fans for the time. I don't know, during the regular season, it was a little bit iffy with attendance. But I had Pittsburgh, I think, in 6. Or no, I had Pittsburgh in 7. I had Pittsburgh pulling it out, and you never bet against Sidney Crosby. Listen, they're going back home to Pittsburgh. Yeah. You're down 2-0. The first game was close, obviously, in overtime. The second game, they lost, 3-1? 4-1?
It was 3-1.
3-1.
And Pittsburgh scored first. So
Eric Goodbranson scored.
Eric Goodbranson. There you go.
But who do you think about...
I think
going to win.
Honestly, I think it's going to be Islanders in... Oh, boy. I think it's going to be Islanders in 7. The reason I'm saying that is because Pittsburgh is going back home now.
You think that they're going to pull it off? Sidney Crosby in a Game
7? That team, they remind me of Vegas. I'm sorry. I understand they're not an expansion. They're not that team, but...
They're fast.
They're a team that started out the year strong, and everyone's like, oh, they can't contain it. And clearly they have, and they stayed second. And everyone's like, well, they're playing Pittsburgh. Well, they're not gonna take on Crosby and the Penguins and beat them. They're up 2-0. I mean,
they are, but you never bet against Sidney Crosby in a Game 7 situation. That's why I'm saying Pittsburgh's going to come back and win in 7. But it wouldn't. I wouldn't say it wouldn't surprise me if New York continues on the roll, but it's going to be tough, especially going back to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. So I'm saying Pittsburgh in 7. You're saying New York in 7.
Right.
Okay.
Now let's go to the Western Conference here, and the Dallas Stars win Game 1 against the Nashville Predators 3-2 in Nashville. And that, I mean...
I had this series, personally, this was the most lopsided series in my opinion. I had Nashville in 5 or 4, I think.
I mean, the only way that can happen is if Nashville wins out now.
But I think Nashville is going to win out. I think that's...
I think they're losing one game. I don't think Nashville is going to continue to lose. I think
people are overhyping Dallas a bit too much. Listen, Ben Bishop's had a great year, even Vezina caliber year, but they just don't have the depth scoring. Their defense core is pretty good. Miro Heiskanen, Esa Lindell, a bunch of other players. But, I mean, yeah, it's just... I still think Nashville in 5 or 6, to be honest with you. You don't have a Jamie Benn on Nashville. You don't have a Tyler Seguin on Nashville. But you do have the depth.
Right. I mean, like, I say Nashville is going to be in 6, too. But the question we say is 6 games. All right, so that's basically Nashville winning in Dallas in Game 6.
I think that can happen.
So,
I don't think Dallas has any depth forwards whatsoever. Other than the first line, who do they have?
Right.
They have Radulov, who's good. They have, like I said, Ben and Sagan, who are good. And they have Jason Spezza. Oh, and sorry, Matt Zuccarello. They got 2 lines. They're kind of like Boston. They rely on their first line too heavy.
Now, real quickly, before we move on to the next series, you want to mention Roman Josi destroying Jason Dickinson?
I didn't even see that.
Oh, my goodness. He absolutely flattened him. He was like, I wouldn't say he was out cold, but he was down for quite a while and looked dazed.
I'm going to say Nashville in 5.
I say 6.
Nashville in 6? Okay.
I think Dallas might win 1 at home. I think they might win 1 at home. All right, so next up we have the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues. Now, St. Louis, one of the hottest teams in the second half. I mean, they've been incredible, and they've dominated that. I mean, look, okay, I wouldn't say dominated, but they've won both games in Winnipeg.
This is the closest series in the playoffs. Yeah. In any conference. You have the Winnipeg Jets, who I get they were good, but they were kind of like the Leafs at points where they didn't know who they were. On paper, great team, but at points, they just underachieved, right? Getting Bufflin back, getting Morrison back. You have Morrissey. You have those defensemen that can top St. Louis's defensemen. Yeah. Goaltending, you would say Hellebuck, but listen, Jordan Binghamton has looked great this year in a playoff game. We didn't know how he would perform. Performed great. I know, exactly. So
you look at that, you go back to that Game 1. All right, with a tie game 1-1 late in the third period. Who scores the game winner? Tyler Bozak. Love it.
And Patrick Laine is stepping up for them, and that's a little bit late for your fantasy team.
It's absolutely way too late, Laine, so you can go bite it. But honestly, in that game 1, did you see the toe save from Jordan Binnington against Mark Scheifele? The one-timer, he got a toe on it with like a minute left. Oh, my God.
They beat them in Winnipeg both games. This is the one series out of all the rest that I'm changing my prediction on.
Wow.
You can call me what you want to call me, but I'm going to say St. Louis in 7. I originally said Winnipeg in 7, but I think right now the St. Louis Blues are going back home. Winnipeg's going to take a couple games. They're definitely not going to get swept or win only 1 or 2.
You think Winnipeg's going to...
Oh, yeah, they're going to win. They're going to win a couple games, 100%.
Okay, well, I mean, the question is now, they're going back to St. Louis for 2 games.
You have to look at this team on paper.
No, Winnipeg is still a great team. I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. But the way Jordan Binnington is playing right now, guy is playing like a Vezina candidate.
But with the Winnipeg forwards, the amount of goal scoring they have, they're eventually going to break Jordan Binghamton. There's no way that they can't with Scheifele, Wheeler, Ehlers, Laine, Connor. Yeah. That's just unbelievable.
You'd think, right? But in the first 2 games...
It's only 2 games.
I get that. I understand that. But they were at home, and they were 1-goal games. They're tight games, but you lose them. And in the end, playing good and losing in the regular season might be okay. But in the playoffs, it doesn't matter.
St. Louis in 7.
I say St. Louis in 6. I think they're going to win it at home.
Perfect.
Colorado and Calgary, I think we know who's going to win that one. Calgary in 5, I'm going to say.
I mean, I don't know about that, to be honest with you. It was a tight game. Mike Smith looked great.
It was a 4-0 Calgary win.
Oh, 4-0. I saw 1-0 there. I don't know. I give Colorado a bit more oomph. I say Calgary in 6. I don't think the Avalanche are going to beat Calgary in a series, but I think that they're going to win more than 1 or 2 games. Or no, you know what? They're going to win 2 games. Calgary in 6, though.
I say 5. just because of the dominance and the way that Calgary is playing right now. They're an unbelievable team. I just think they're going to win in 5. Last one is Vegas and San Jose, a rematch of last year's. Was it the conference finals or was it the
second? I think it was
second
the
or third
second
round. Bottom line last year.
Again, another tight series on paper, but listen, I got to go with Vegas in 7.
I don't know.
Martin Jones is terrible. Why isn't this story being talked about more? Look at
Fleury hasn't been good either.
No.
He gave a 5 in the first game
Look
as well.
at Martin Jones's stats. Do it right now on your phone. You would not believe. You would not believe the down year he's having, and no one's talking about it. Go to him. Because he got pulled last game. Just go to his stats. Go to his stats.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they're not very good at all.
No. So, and then you look at Marc-Andre Fleury, and time in and time out, he's a playoff producer. Playoff producer. You can look at the regular season all you want. Vegas has, like you said, they pick up Mark Stone. They got Pacioretty. Paul Stastny. He's looked great. Yeah. Fleury in the back end, right? So,
by the way, kudos to Joe Pavelski for scoring with his face. I'm just going to leave that there.
And Erik Karlsson is not the same player like he was. You're telling me that Erik Karlsson's going to get $11 million in the offseason?
No.
Well, who knows? Maybe a Florida Panthers is gonna sign him.
Probably with the contracts they dish out.
And who knows? Joe Quenneville as a new coach.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It's very appetizing. Going down to Florida and get coached by Joe Quenneville? Okay.
Who knows? But I'm going to say Vegas in 7. It's going to be a tight series. Both teams are great, but I give the edge to Vegas. Just a net.
I say Vegas in 6.
Really?
I think because that means they're going to win at home, and that's what I think they're going to do. Oh, no, wait. Yes, they're going to win at home in Game 6.
Yeah, okay.
Flip into basketball. Let's get to the hard court. And the Toronto Raptors, and I talked about it in the Raptor video, since July the 18th, when the Kawhi Leonard trade occurred, this moment, Saturday, April 13th, today, is the moment we have been waiting for since that trade went down.
The regular season means diddly squat.
Kawhi Leonard said, well, the regular season, all 82 games, is just practice for the playoffs. And that's exactly what it is.
And out of any of the teams that we talked about, this is the 100% preferred matchup. More preferred than Miami, more preferred than Brooklyn, and more preferred thank you, than Detroit. This is a great matchup for the Raptors, and I can't see any upset at all. I mean, maybe I'm just being a Raptors homer here, but I can't see the Orlando Magic even getting to 6 games.
So I'm going to talk about the things that worry me, but they're really not worried. But if you look at the regular season numbers, it's kind of worrying.
Yep.
So the Orlando Magic are 22-9 in their last 31 games. 22-9. That's very, very good.
Yeah.
The Raptors and the Magic split the season series.
Okay.
And Pascal Siakam averaged under 10 a game against these guys this year.
Who was on him?
Jonathan Isaac.
Okay.
I mean, again, it could mean squat because it's the regular season and now we're running into playoff time and the place is going to be booming tonight. We're going to be down there in Jurassic Park for that. It's going to be a lot of fun there. They're there this evening. But I don't see it going 6. I think the Raptors should win in 5. I think they could definitely, win both at home, then split on the road, come home and win in Game 5. I think that's the way it will happen. I'm pretty sure it'll happen that way. But again, this is why we play. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a brand new team going into the playoffs, a brand new coach, and for the Orlando Magic too, it's a brand new team going into the playoffs.
Good on the Orlando Magic. Good on them.
They have not made the playoffs, I think, in a good 6 years.
It's been longer since Dwight Howard.
2012.
Since Dwight Howard was on that team.
That's 2012.
Yeah, since Dwight Howard was on Orlando Magic, and that guy is hurt in Washington all year long. He hasn't played this year.
No, so and. Let's just get into it now. OG Anunoby is out at least 2 weeks. I think this...
It could be out at least until the East Finals. Okay. It came out 4 minutes ago.
I think people might not think it's a big deal. I think it's a massive deal for the Toronto Raptors because we've seen this guy guarding LeBron James last year in the Eastern Conference Final? Or
second round.
Second round of the playoffs, and I wouldn't say contain him because there's no containing LeBron.
There's no shutting down LeBron.
Shutting down LeBron. There is containing. Thank you. Yeah. And he contained them. He was great defensively, and I think this might be a problem for the Raptors.
Because people look at his offense, right? And for me, I watch OG, and I feel like he rushes things on offense sometimes, and he looks sporadic. And, he has the potential, but that's really all I see right now.
Yeah.
He can shoot the three, streaky. He's a good dunker. That's great and all. But the thing where he is so good, and you've already mentioned it, is his defense.
Yeah.
And that's something that on the second unit, it might lack a little bit, especially still with Patrick McCaw still being out as well.
Right. So you want him healthy, but you would want him to get injured or whatever he is now rather than later. So that's that. But you said till the Eastern Conference Finals. So
That's what it says right here. So OG could be out.
So this series, next series, and then the series after he comes back. So
bottom line, this series against Orlando, and then the winner, if the Raptors do go through, the winner of Philly and Brooklyn, and man, that's going to be a flipping good series. But we'll talk about that in a second here. But
that's the 3 and the 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, where expectations are 5. That's what we're saying for the series. I mean, that's what I believe.
Yeah, you know what?
Did you say
no,
6?
No. You know what? 5 games. This team is too good to be bogged down
We
by
haven't
the
seen
Orlando
playoff
Magic.
Kawhi Leonard yet. We have not seen that.
And plus, this Orlando Magic team is not experienced whatsoever.
No.
So, 5 games. You know what?
I say 5.
I'm going to say 4.
You're going to say they're going to sweep them.
Yep. Who do they have over us?
Vukovic has dominated the Raptors consistently.
Okay.
Evan Fournier's put up some great games. Look, I'm not saying that the Raptors are gonna. Look, I say 5 because I'm giving them 1.
I mean,
in
it is
Orlando.
hard to sweep any team. I'm gonna say 4.
I say
just
5.
to be interesting.
I say 5.
Okay.
Do you want to get around the league now? Do you want to get around to the other teams, or do you want to?
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Mean,
because I think we talked about Leaf series a little bit more.
Look, for the Raptors to succeed, for this team to succeed, they have to continue to defend the way they have been, and if they can shoot the 3 the way they have over the last month. Since the trade for Marc Gasol, the Raptors are the best 3-point shooting team in the league. If that can transform into the playoffs, if Danny Green can continue to shoot the 3 at the stupid rate that he's shooting right now, then this team can go as far as the eye can see.
Didn't Danny Green get a game winner against these guys?
He did a 93-91 victory down in Orlando, very very earlier in very very
so
early in the season.
guys, game 1's tonight, 5 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll be down there in Jurassic Park if you guys want to meet up. Again, we're going to be down there with a bunch of our friends. So there you go. Now, moving to the series, which I think is going to be over quickly, but who knows? Detroit and Milwaukee. Now, we've seen that Milwaukee struggled at the end of the season a little bit.
But, I mean, this is when they were starting to rest guys and getting stuff ready for the playoffs.
Right.
And that's what the Raptors were doing, too. So I don't look at that.
No.
I look at their record, of, where is it here? 60-22. They're a 60-win team. Enough said.
Yeah, and for anybody
They
that...
have the MVP.
And plus, anybody that picks the 8 seed to beat the 1 seed in any playoff format, hockey, basketball, whatever, you're crazy.
Columbus and Tampa Bay.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying. But 99% of people pick the 1 seed over the 8 seed.
Oh, of course.
Right? The only thing I could see Detroit over is, again, their bigs, because that's what helped them get into the playoffs, in my opinion, is their bigs.
Yeah.
And Milwaukee in 5.
I say 5-2. Okay. I think Detroit might win 1 at home, but other than that, I don't really see much happening with that series. The next game, and these next 2 series here are going to be doozies. The first one is Philly and Brooklyn. Brooklyn ended the season very well. They locked up the number 6 seed in the Eastern Conference at 42-40. And they won 3 straight heading into the playoffs. They were feeling great heading into the playoffs, and they have D'Angelo Russell.
Right. And D'Lo, like I said before, is right now, I'm not saying season-wise, but right now he's a top 10 player in the league. He's been unbelievable the last half of the season. Yep. But that's one player.
It is one guy.
Who else do they have? Really? I mean,
they have a couple other guys. Chris LeVert.
Role players. No. They don't have that other superstar.
Right.
Now, Joel Embiid is not going to be starting in game 1. I think that's been confirmed, right? Or it's some nagging injury. I don't think he's going to be healthy for the playoffs. Game 1, I think. So, but then again, Philly still has Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons. Tobias Harris was a trade deadline pickup. So they have all these superstars. But then when D'Lo comes back, it's going to be tight.
When Embiid comes back.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you. This is going to be my upset. I'm picking the Brooklyn Nets in 6.
Honestly, I was thinking the exact same thing. Because ideally, there's no other really upset out there, at least in my eyes. I mean,
No.
the other series and the other conference. I mean, they're very very good teams there. So you never really
this
know.
is my upset in Philly. Well, then again, they ran into the Boston Celtics last year, but still not a lot of playoff experience. Neither's Brooklyn,
Right.
But I'm gonna say D'Lo is gonna transition his regular season success into the playoffs, and I think that the Brooklyn Nets, we're gonna be facing the Brooklyn Nets in the second round. It's not gonna be fun.
That would be something else. And I say Brooklyn in 6 as well. That's my upset.
Now this series, I have no doubt in my mind that the Boston Celtics are gonna win. I've been in India. You can say what you want in the comments. I'm an Indiana Pacer hater, but who knows if I am or not? I might be. Boston in 7.
I say Boston in 6. The reason I'm saying this is not only has Indiana not played well lately, talent-wise, they're not there. Not without Victor Oladipo. And you're playing in Boston to start. If they had home court, then I might be persuaded a little bit the other way.
I wouldn't.
But since they don't have home court and they have no Victor Oladipo and they haven't really been playing well over the last little while, I just say Boston in 6.
No, Boston doesn't have Marcus Smart. We can say that he's going to be out a couple of weeks, or I think a month or something.
Without Victor Oladipo, who does Indiana have?
Well, I was talking to you about this. I was surprised that Indiana even stayed in the 6. Or no, sorry, in the 5.
Yeah, well,
I'm shocked.
They were way up there. They were in the second seed at one, or they were when we were first. They were second at one point. And then when we were second, they were third for the longest time.
Yeah.
But they dwindled down to 5. I mean, with the 6, 7, 8 being as low as they were, I didn't expect them to fall that far.
Listen,
but I think we both agree that the Indiana Pacers are going to be out in 6.
Even if, I say 7, but even if
okay.
Indiana had home court, I still would have picked Boston in either 6 or 7. I'm sorry, the Boston Celtics are a scary team, and I think people are underestimating them.
They have a lot of talent. Excuse me. But with the very mediocre playoffs success they had, and the fact that they're not going to have home court barely at all during the playoffs, I don't know. They rely on their home court a lot in the regular season, and you're not going to be able to rely on that in the playoffs.
They were such a strong team last year in the playoffs. They almost
last year.
Sorry, I know, but same team. They were also the team that was first place for most of the year with the Raptors. And then the Raptors ended up taking them, but they were still the second seed in the Eastern Conference and had an amazing record. Right, they were this close to beating LeBron. They didn't. They took them to 7, so we'll leave it at that. Second round, it's going to be Milwaukee versus Boston, and then
it'll be Toronto and
right.
Brooklyn.
So that's our prediction.
Brooklyn's what we're saying right now.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Western Conference, and things are going to get really interesting here because there's a lot of really good teams here. Not like the Eastern Conference where the bottom 3 seem to be pretty easy wins, even though Brooklyn and Philly, we have them going the other way. Golden State Warriors versus Clippers. Now, I mean, as much as the Clippers have had a nice little season here, even with trading DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin and all that stuff. Chris Paul. Well, Chris Paul was a few years ago now, but with DeAndre Jordan being gone and obviously, with Blake Griffin being traded as well, I'm shocked they still made the playoffs, to be honest with you.
Golden State in 5.
I say they might even win in 4.
Okay.
I really do. The last year I don't think the Golden State Warriors lost a game in the playoffs. If they did, maybe they lost 1, maybe.
But this isn't the same Golden State Warriors, even last year.
They added Boogie Cousins.
Adding too many superstars to a team might dwindle their production.
Now, the good thing about the Toronto Raptors is if we were to face Golden State in the finals, if we were to get there, we would have home court. So there you go. That's a positive. But I say Golden State in 4 games.
I'm going to say 5.
All right, next up we have the Denver Nuggets and DeMar DeRozan's San Antonio Spurs, the 2 versus 7.
This could be an upset just for the fact that San Antonio's been there, done that so many times, and Denver Nuggets, I mean, the last time they made it was the Melo days. I still think Denver, but I think it's going to be in 7.
I think Denver in, you know what? I'm going to say...
Because you have DeMar DeRozan, who's been there, done that. Popovich has been there, done that.
Yeah, and LaMarcus Aldridge. They've had a lot of playoff experience on that team.
Well, they've made it 22 seasons in a row.
Not even just that. I'm talking about the players in general. Though LaMarcus Aldridge with the Trailblazers have been a long time.
And the Denver Nuggets are a young and upcoming team, and they're a bit more progressive with the rebuild than they would have expected. But, however, like you said, Denver's the second seed. They came second in the conference for a reason. They're a great team.
Denver in 7. Because they'll be at home for Game 7, so I'm going to say Denver in 7.
So you're really doing the home court and the home ice for both sports,
I really am, because the Denver Nuggets, look, I understand we talk about them being like...
No, but what I said is that you're really noticing about home court, home teams winning on home ice or home court. I noticed that.
Not so much for hockey, but when it comes to the basketball...
You said it quite a bit in hockey.
I still said Columbus was going to win it because they won 2 games in the road.
But with Vegas and with there's another series you're talking about that, you know what, they're going to win on home ice. Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, look, an elimination game on the road is never easy. You just ask the Leafs in their last 2 Game 7 appearances. I mean, those happen. But for the Denver Nuggets, they have put in a ridiculously good year together. They have Jamal Murray, who's been fantastic. Nikola Jokic has been incredible for that team. And they have a lot of other guys that have been doing so much good things for their team. That's why I think they're going to win in 7. You know, you look at guys like Will Barton. As much as you don't hear much about him, he's been shooting the 3 great. Gary Harris is a great-looking player. You know, Trey Lyle's been a great 3. Paul Millsap's been a productive player all year long.
You know what? Who this team is similar to in the sense that they don't have necessarily a super. I mean, you could say Jokic, but I mean, necessarily a superstar. Indiana with Oladipo, kind of similar.
I get that.
Kind of similar team,
They
right?
have an all-star, but not superstars.
But they have a lot of great players.
Yeah.
So
that's why I think Denver in 7.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna switch my prediction. Denver in 6.
6. There you go. Next up, we have the Portland Trail Blazers against the Oklahoma City Thunder. 3 versus 6. This series is very interesting.
Yeah, because it can go either way, and we've seen countless times that Westbrook and Paul George, I wouldn't say falter in the playoffs, but against a team like the Portland Trailblazers, who had no success in the playoffs whatsoever.
You look at them last year; they got swept by the Pelicans.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying
the boogie-less.
I don't know if this is going to be an upset, but I think OKC in 5.
I say OKC in 6. I do believe they're going to win in 6. I don't think it'll go to 7. And look, Lillard and McCollum might surprise us all, but Nurkic is out for the year, obviously, with that horrendous injury that he had late in the season.
Prayers up to him.
Oklahoma City in 6 games.
And then we have the most interesting series, in my opinion.
Isn't it of the second round last year? Because Houston went on to face Golden State in the conference finals.
Correct. So in the 4th spot, we got the Houston Rockets. In the 5th spot, we got the
Utah
Jazz.
Yep.
So I'm going to say Houston in 7. Because you got James Harden, who can arguably say is the reigning MVP. Gordon Hayward-Liss.
It wouldn't even surprise me if they win him in 6. It really wouldn't.
Really?
James Harden can take over a game. We've seen that all year long. And I mean, you look at the Utah Jazz. Do they have Donovan Mitchell? Yes. But the thing I've noticed with Donovan Mitchell, yes, his points per game and all that stuff is great numbers and stuff.
But he's taking a lot of shots?
Exactly. What's his percentage this year? He shot 43% from the field and 36 from 3. It's all right, but it's nothing eye-opening, right? Joe Ingles has obviously been a really productive player, he's only averaging 12 a game, right? And you look at who else do they have here? Rubio, Crowder, Favors, and Rudy Gobert is the center.
Yeah.
I mean, really, who can, with Harden and Capella's going to bang it easy.
And Paul.
And Chris Paul as well. So, I mean, that's why I'm saying Houston in 6 games.
Right, but
I don't know if it's going to go 7.
Last year, I think Utah took it over Houston, right? They
No,
won that. Oh, no, they didn't.
Houston did. I think Utah won like the first game or 2, and then the Houston Rockets, I think, won the rest
Houston
of the
in
way.
7. I'm just going to be close, but...
I say 6.
Right, so those are playoff predictions, right? Because we're actually starting this before the playoffs even start for NBA, so that's good. Now,
should have got this for the hockey, but
and
the thing with hockey was like you never know who was going to make the playoffs, and we were kind of in that weird
same
area.
thing like the Raptors. We didn't know who they were facing.
We did a podcast like when the season was still going, we wouldn't know who we're facing yet.
Yeah. So before we switch to baseball, let's give a huge congratulations on the 2 careers of Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki. There was a podcast question saying, what was your favorite moment? Let's get into it now. Ladies and gentlemen, these 2 players are first ballot Hall of Famers, and my favorite moment from Dwayne Wade was in these moments kind of go together from each player. When Dwayne Wade won his first championship in 2006 against the Mavericks, against Dirk, with Shaq, that brought a tear to my eye because that was the first championship that he won. That was the first championship Miami's won, right? So, And it was great. And then a couple, I think, 7 years later in 2011, Dirk won it against Miami.
And that was so good. You know, with Dirk winning that one, that was when the big three were around. They were a thing that year.
The monkey was off Dirk's chest. And this was the first time the big three were together because it was 2011.
Yep.
And Dirk shut them all up and he got his ring. And he got his ring. Those were the two moments from those players where I'm like, brought tears to my eye.
I think the reason why they're so meaningful to a lot of people is because those two guys are very humble players. They're humble people. They're great people, and they're those are the type of people you look at in the sport of basketball, and they're like, man, those are icons.
Oh, for sure.
You have the other guys who are cocky as all heck. And
you have to look at the circumstances with Dwayne Wade having a child at a very young age. His son was, I think, 2 years old when he was drafted in 2003. So that's respect for him, and the fact that Dirk, when he got traded, because listen, if you didn't know this, he was drafted by the Bucks, and he got and then he got traded to the Mavericks for Robert Tractor Trailer, and everybody's like, "Oh, why are they trading for this white European?" You know,
I thought you were going to say kind of like trailer trash stuff because you said, "Well, Tractor Trailer." I thought you were getting.
Well, that was his. No, that was a nickname. But Ethan, you want to make that sound a little louder? That tractor noise? Do it for the pod. Robert Tractor Trailer, ladies and gentlemen.
He's in studio with us now anyway.
But when the Bucks traded away Dirk and got Robert Trailer, whatever he was, everybody was like, What's Dallas doing? They're getting this guy from Germany no one's even heard of, tall, skinny, white dude, looks like Sean Bradley. And I mean, didn't think much of it, and then look where he is now. Hall of Famer.
Yeah, well-deserved.
And
well-deserved. First ballot, honestly.
Both of them.
Yeah.
And one of the best fadeaway jump shots ever.
I mean, every time he took that shot, you knew it was going in. No matter how guy's hand in his face or whatnot, if he's fading, he's making it. Dirk was an absolutely unbelievable player.
Both of them.
And to watch these guys win their championships, not with super teams, is beautiful.
Okay, you could say, well, like I said, because Dwayne Wade won 3. One by himself, pretty much.
Right.
Shaq.
That's what I'm talking about. That one there.
And then the other 2 with LeBron and Chris
Well,
Bosh.
I'm not talking about those 2 because those were the super team.
Right.
I'm talking about his first one. And obviously with Dirk beating the super team, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So just a huge shout out to those players.
Amazing careers.
Amazing careers and respect for both of them, 100%. Let's switch over to the Jays. We're not going to do a huge Jays segment here because we wanted to get through all the playoff series with hockey and basketball. The Jays suck, and we were talking about this on the phone.
The problem with this team, we talked about it in probably the last podcast, the pitching was great to start, but there was no hitting. Now the Jays actually show a little bit of offense, and they can't pitch.
No.
They're now 4-10, and, I mean, put it into perspective, the Tampa Bay Rays are 11-3.
Let's just go back to that Boston Red Sox game. They were up, 7-6?
They're up 5-0.
Okay, let's just... Okay, yeah, 5-0, but 7-6, 1 out, bottom of the 9th.
They were down. They lost 7-6. They're up 6-5.
Sorry, 6-5. Yeah. Sorry. I mean,
well, Ken Giles blew the save there, but that was his first blown save in like 36 appearances. So I'm not gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. But they shouldn't have been in that situation.
No, they shouldn't.
And Aaron Sanchez with a couple pass balls, an error, and we've talked about it even in hockey and stuff like that. You give a really good team extra chances, they will kill you.
Now, you can argue that, oh, wait, these are the Boston Red Sox. They're a great team. On paper, they're struggling, which I get it, but they're going to bounce back, obviously. I don't care. You're up 5-0. You got to shut them down.
Yeah.
And this Jays team can't. We're last in the division. We're not playing well. Is this expected? Hell yes.
We expected there to be a lot of losses this year. And with the Blue Jays, I'm trying to look here to see where they are in kind of like the standings. They're tied with the Kansas City Royals for the dead last in the American League, and the Rockies and Miami Marlins are the worst teams in baseball.
You know what's funny? That we go from the Leafs, who just won a game in Boston, great. The Raptors are starting their playoffs, and then we move to the Jays.
I mean, this is the same thing back in 2015-16, though. I mean, the Leafs were going through the rebuild, and the Jays were right through their playoff series. So
every team goes through this, and the Jays just need to keep going. And Let's talk about something positive, because we talked about negative for a couple
want
of
to
minutes.
say about Vlad?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
there you
Vladdy
go.
Guerrero Jr. with the Buffalo Bisons. A homer. An absolute dinger.
Yeah, 3-run shot in his first game back in AAA Buffalo. So great to see there from Vladdy Jr. in his first game back. And we've heard from Ross Atkins now that the whole year of eligibility thing, that thing is up. That thing's done. So if he was to come up anytime this year, he still has that extra year.
So wait,
So from
it's
now-
only been 3 weeks since he got injured? It's fast.
Well, it was in the spring training too, right? So, I mean, you got to look at it from that standpoint. He missed the final week of spring. So, with Vladdy, they I think for now, and I think the time he'll come up is once he's had some AAA Buffalo appearances and stuff like that. Because what you've seen now is you've seen him get his little bit of extra spring training in. You've seen him get a couple games down there with the Dunedin Blue Jays. And now you're probably going to see a few games of the Buffalo Bisons before he gets the call to the big club. Because I think as of this point, with that year of eligibility now being not a thing, you're going to see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. get called up in the very near future. Ross Atkins says it himself.
I'm going to say give the Jays the month of April to see what they have. And then once May comes, then you unleash the beast.
It would not surprise me. Would not surprise me.
Give the Jays a month to, okay, let's just see what this team is. We already know what it is. And if they're, even if they're struggling mightily, bring them up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
What's
Absolutely.
the worst that can happen?
Hey now, they're getting a burp going there. What's up?
I got the Pabs going. What do you expect?
That's true. But for the Jays, like we talked about many times before, you're going to have negatives. You're going to have a lot of losses. You got to try and find the positives out of the losses and move on from it. And the positive has been Freddie Galvis. I mean, yes, he had an off night yesterday, but again, he's the only guy hitting over 300 for this team. He's hitting 375, and I mean, look, Teoscar Hernandez has got a couple hits yesterday. Great to see Lourdes Gurriel getting back into the swing of things, literally. And look, as much as there's a lot of losses, you got to keep going.
How about Joe Biagini?
Joe Biagini, yeah, I mean, he's having a tough time now. That he was going to have a great season, but meanwhile, he's had a rough last couple starts. So for Big Joe, I don't really know what to expect, to be totally honest. I really don't.
I really don't either.
There's a lot of weird things going on with this team.
Yeah.
This is what 162 games is going to do to you, and it's going to be a long, long year for us Jays fans.
Exactly. What else can we say? I mean, we predicted this going into the season, and it's happening right now, and there you go. Do you want to preview some of the next games, I guess? And then we'll just move over
for
to
the
the
Jays or for... I guess for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, we're talking about
so
the
game
Jays. 2
2 of the 3 games set against the Tampa Bay Rays goes today. It's 3:07 at Rogers Center. It is going to be jammed downtown tonight. We got the Raptors in their playoff game. You got the Leafs, later on tonight. The square's going to be packed for that. And the Jays, even though there's probably going to be more people in the square than there is at the Rogers Center, the Jays are playing at home against Tampa at 3 o'clock. So it is going to be crazy downtown tonight.
Only 7,000 people, I think, were at the Jays game against Baltimore, was it?
It was 10,000. But considering the Jays were averaging like 25,000 last year, 10,000?
And a stadium that holds...
I feel like we're the Tampa Bay Rays here. I mean, then again, Tampa could be a 120 win team and lose 30 games all year. They'll still only have 10,000 people.
Well, how do you know that? Have we seen that at all?
Whenever they get in these damn playoff runs, they always never get any fans going to their games.
So we have bandwagon fans, but at least we have fans. They don't even have bandwagon fans.
Yeah, they have people just show up.
So Tampa Bay takes an L in hockey and in baseball, I guess.
I mean, they're 11-3 right now, so they're not really taking many losses lately.
No, but
but in hockey they are. So we're gonna leave it at that. All right. But like I said, game 2 goes today this afternoon. Blake Snell, Clay Buchholz are the starters in the game today. Clay Buchholz gets his first start as a Toronto Blue Jay, and then the finale is Charlie Morton versus Marcus Stroman on Sunday before the Jays head to Minnesota to take on the Twins.
The Twins.
I think that's about all she wrote.
Let's get to the podcast questions because we got to go down to the square,
we gotta get
ladies
going,
and gentlemen.
people. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get down there. What am I? I don't even know what
beers
that was.
we're gonna be flowing.
They already are for Ethan. You can clearly hear that. All right, we got True Aaron. What do you think about people believing the Magic can pull an upset against the Raptors?
Listen, they're optimistic, and I would be the same way if I was in the same seed as the Magic. Like let's just say that the Magic were the 2nd seed and we were the 8th seed. I would think the exact same thing.
Now, if they're Raptor fans thinking that way, those are just people who don't have faith in their team.
No.
Plain and simple. Stephen W. We already answered your question. Favorite most from
Actually, I answered it. You didn't.
honestly, God, like, it's the same thing. When you see these guys win championships against these really good teams, and I don't know, in the fashions they do it is just so beautiful.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is before James started actually actively watching basketball, so you don't got none, but that's fine.
Calm down there. You barely watch basketball now, so relax. Stephen W., thanks for your question, my man. He has another question. Celtics or Bucks? Who do you think will go through to the East Finals? That is, assuming if they both win their first round matchup. If you were the Raptors, what team would you rather face? We already talked about that. We already said the Brooklyn Nets would be the team that we'd rather face over Philly.
You may call me crazy here. I'm going to say Celtics. I'm going to say Boston. I'm going to roll with Kyrie Irving, and just with playoff experience. And that guy, like, I know Giannis is Giannis. I understand that.
No one can guard Giannis on Boston. Sorry.
No, but
no one can guard him.
I mean, I still think the depth of Boston, and you could argue and say the depth of the Bucks as well, but I think
say
Celtics.
Milwaukee. I say Milwaukee. Right. That team is very, very good, and they are a really, really strong team. Would I rather face the Celtics than the Bucks? Even then, I don't know.
Yeah.
Once you get to that point of the Eastern Conference Finals,
they're
it's going to be tough
strong
either way.
teams. Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Stephen. He's got a third question for us. How far do you think the Raptors will go in this year's playoffs? Now the news with OG being, does this prediction change?
You know what? He's not that big of a factor to have a prediction change. I said it was a tough loss for the Raptors based on his defense, but I don't think it's going to change a series.
It's not going to be a series defining loss.
So wait, what was this question? It was
how far do you think the Raptors will go in this year's playoffs, and will that injury affect it? I don't think it will affect it, but how far do I think they're going to go?
We've been saying this all
season. The sky's the limit. They can go to the finals. This team can go to the finals, and they might. I mean, they've beaten Golden State twice without Boogie, of course, but you never know.
Listen, this team's built for the finals, and we just got to get through, like I said,
one game at a time,
Bucks or
one round at a time. That's all
Boston, that looks like it's gonna. I'm not sure.
Again, you still got to get through Philly and Brooklyn. I mean,
no, we got to get through the Magic first.
Exactly, one game at a time, and that starts tonight. Right. All right, Isabel F. What do you think of Trevor Moore? Flippin' love him.
Speedy player.
Plays physical. Knocked down Zdeno Chara a couple game in game one.
If we didn't have the depth like we did forwards-wise, he should be up on the third line.
Yeah, I could not agree more with that. Mo Buckets, the man himself. Shout out to him.
Shout out to Mo.
And we're trying to get him on the podcast in a couple weeks here, trying to get him on here and talk about the Jays with him. All that stuff. He does the Blue Jays Center on Instagram.
Go follow.
58,000 followers on Instagram. He is the most followed Blue Jays fan page on Instagram. He does a great stuff. You were saying that some
players actually follow him as well.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Lourdes Guerrero. I think Lourdes Guerrero. I know Vladdy does. I know Devin Travis does, and I know there's a couple others that I missed, but those are guys.
Hopefully, meet up with him and see what he's saying and get him on the pod.
Yeah, love to get in touch with Mo Buckets more. We are still talking, of course, and hope to get him on here too more often. Now, his question was. Okay, never mind. Never mind. I guess I don't have any.
Say what he says.
Well, I guess I don't have to give you any Jays questions because if you follow him on Instagram, he did post on his Instagram DM questions, and he sent me questions. There is a ton of questions.
Well, why don't you go into one of them?
Okay, well let's find it right here. Yeah. I'll do it live right here. All right, so where are we? Blue Jays Center. All right, here we are. So there is a lot of questions.
Well, let's just pick two. Pick two of them.
All right. Should Joe Carter's number 29 be retired?
Yes.
This is not Jacob Brego. I want to say that's his name on Instagram. Yes, I believe so.
Just what he did. Was it the first World Series or the second?
Second one.
Second one.
And the most monumental hit in Blue Jays franchise history.
You could argue
Joey Bats hit.
I would say his was more.
Joe Carter hit a walk-off 3-run home run to win you the World Series.
That's
period.
You can't get better than that.
You just can't.
I
think so.
Yeah.
I do believe so. Where is it here? I mean, okay. Thomas Torchetti. Why do they suck? Honestly, not enough talent, I'd say. They're young, and it's a lot of inexperience, really, on this Jays team.
Right.
But time will come.
That is a lot of questions. How many questions?
Oh my God, there's a ton of questions he got here, and I think if we had more time, we might get into more. But we got to get going very soon here. But yeah, there's a lot of questions.
Well, guys, thank you very much for listening to episode 14, season 2 of the TO Sports Talk podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for the waits. I know it's a bit of a late one. But we will be back next week, probably again on the Saturday.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I'm not too sure.
We'll tweet it out. We'll tweet out the podcast. podcast questions before we do the episode. So thank you guys for listening. We will see you down at the square.
We'll see you down at the, yeah, absolutely. And I'll talk to you guys, well, it'll be tonight for all 3. So it's going to be a late one. But
and James is going to be bringing 3 jerseys.
No, 2.
Well, why not bring the
I'm not wearing the Jays jersey down there. I'm wearing my Leafs jersey under my Raptors
Everyone's
jersey.
going to chirp you for the Brett Laurie.
That's why I'm not wearing it down there. Yeah. But thank you guys so much for listening. And what? Nothing. My Scott Rowland jersey? Yeah, that's an unbelievable jersey. Even though you played like half a year with the Jays. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening.
It's like your Joel Colburn Marley's jersey.
Stud right there. MVP. I mean, god damn. I have some pretty greasy jerseys. I have a Phil Kessel jersey as well. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll talk to you guys later tonight, all 3 games. And Evan and I will talk to you guys next week sometime. We'll discuss that.
And hopefully see you guys.
And hopefully see you guys down there at Jurassic Park and Maple Leaf Square a little bit later on tonight. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll talk to you guys then.
Peace!